But today, right now, we're just going to focus on psychology because you are here with me. It is Tuesday afternoon, and trading psychology is very important. If you guys have been traders longer than like a second, you realize that our mind can really mess with us more than we would like. I mean, I certainly have experienced that as a trader, that even the best laid plans, the strongest strategy, the best system, even if you're trading alongside someone who is a more mature trader than you and you have a good setup, it's still so easy to succumb to habits and thoughts and feelings about the trading experience that are detrimental and lead to worse outcomes. So why is that, right? What are the factors that are involved? How can we mitigate it? How can we manage it? How can we best get ourselves set up for the most ideal outcomes? So I actually really want to get a little bit into our attitudes today. So bear with me because I think that it's a good conversation to think about what we can do to really align ourselves with the trader that we want to be and the life that we want to achieve. So our attitude on the charts and off actually has a massive impact on results. And so it's sort of a whole life approach and how we should try to align ourselves with who we are becoming and the life that we're trying to build. And so that's kind of what I wanted to bring today, how we can harness that energy state to lock in and kill it. You know, I think that we have tremendous potential. Like there is a lot of BS out there in the marketing world and in the content world about make it rich quick and Lambo by age 22 and all kind of hullabaloo. But I think the reality is you can be a very successful trader, but it's not as easy as initially I think we all kind of hoped. So let's figure out some little success hacks here and there, little things that we can tweak in our lives to get us to the most ideal outcomes. So why did I pick this topic? Why do I think that mindset is actually a tremendously valuable edge for us as traders? Let me tell you, because it impacts my trading. Like I think about these episodes and us as a team at BluSky and traders in general, and I recognize what I do, what I shift in my own life that gets me to my better outcomes. And when I drop the ball or I slide or I mismanage something, what that looks like also that led me to a worse outcome. And so what can I do to fine tune anything in my life, whether it's my strategy, my literal technical playbook, or something in my bigger, more global life to get me to those more successful outcomes consistently. So that is how we came to be at this subject today, because I do believe that you can have the best setup, the cleanest entry signal, the beautifulest opportunity, a proven strategy around that opportunity, and you can still mess yourself up. You can still blow an account on a day where the charts looked clean and the trades make sense. And after the fact, everything was kind of logical and dialed in. What the heck happened, right? Well, the market doesn't just test our trading system, our playbook, our technical analysis. It actually tests us, like the humans. And so today's session, that's what I want to talk about, is building an internal infrastructure that makes your edge actually work consistently over time through drawdowns, through breakthroughs, as you break through ceilings. Because also we've talked in another session called New Level. Every time you push to a higher level of success, there's an opportunity to mess yourself. And so on all sides of the scope, right, there is opportunities that we should try to manage our psychology the best. There is kind of cinch points that can mess you up. And so that is when we need to most specifically make sure we're being very careful with ourselves. You know, I was just thinking, Justin, would you throw a note in the other stream that says that I'm down here? Because usually I go after power hour and we'll do a whole announcement and kick people to come down to this lab. Will you just pop in there and put an announcement to have people come down here if they can? Thank you. Okay. Who is here right now? How many of you have had a perfectly good setup, but then something felt off, you hesitated, you weren't sure, and then you just started doing some BS on the chart? You got in the wrong direction, you mismanaged your size, you you hesitated, and then you chased, and then you got in at the top when you should have got in at the bottom, but you were pissed you didn't get in at the bottom, and then you revenge traded in the double size because you wanted to fix the trade that you messed up, right? Okay, thanks, Jaja. Yeah, I have, and I did not enjoy the outcome of that, and it caused me to have to think about what I'm doing in my life and how I can adjust it to do less of that. And this is kind of a part of it. Yes, Tina Marie. Yep. It's a real situation. And I think anyone who has traded has done it. And then I think what we can use from that is how can we do less of that? So let me put it out there on what the situation is in terms of the two ways that we can approach trading in our day and how it can kind of go and pivot and turn if we let it. So first, the less ideal, right? So a fear-based approach, a fear-based trading session, which is actually so easy. Like, I think if you're a day trader, you have courage and stamina and some grit to do something that's really freaking hard and keep taking hits and get back in the game. So you're strong. And so fear, is not the largest driving force you've ever experienced. You have some strength against fear, but fear creeps in sneaky. It's very sneaky and insidious because it's like FOMO, right? FOMO is fear of missing out. So it's like not only like I'm terrified the bear that I encounter on my hiking trail is going to eat me. It's also like somebody else is going to get this great trade. What the heck? What's wrong with me? Why can't I get it? I don't want to miss this trade. I didn't quite get the entry that I want. And so now what am I going to do? And you force the entries and you chase the outcomes. And so that can cause a lot of aggression after losses. So you can get frustrated and be like, I knew I wasn't going to do that. I did it again. What is happening? That's how you get into the revenge trading, where you're like, I'm just going to fix this really quick. I'm going to repair what I mismanaged this morning because I'm not taking that loss. I'm a better trader than that. I saw the trade differently and I just don't have the outcome, so you can chase it. So all of those energies and experiences, I don't know if you guys have read or heard or done much thought about energy and vibration. This is where I'm going to nerd out a little bit and why the psychology coach role kind of really fits my personality, because I believe this stuff. And I really have experienced a low vibration state where everything is dumb. People are annoying. Nothing is working on the charts. I'm really frustrated. I can't nail these trades. I had 2 red days in a row and I'm pissed off about it. And so then that carries over into the like, why are my kids eating my vegetables? They're supposed to eat their vegetables. And then at night, I'm like thinking about my trading, so I'm not sleeping. And the cycle can be really uncomfortable. It can have carryover. It can, like I said, I talked about sleep and like family experiences. It can cross over into everything. And that can stem from a fear that was allowed to get bigger than it needed to be. And then it impacted more things and it started changing results. And then when your results start to change, it can seed even deeper. And so I definitely have had that experience of like getting stuck in that vibration where it starts to play over to other things. And then that thing frustrated me. And so then I did this other thing, which was annoying. So that is fear-based trading, and it is not the ideal place. That is not where any of us want to be, should aim to be. You know what I'm saying? But there's the flip side to that. There is an abundance-based trading approach where it's not so stressful and the carryover is either neutral or slightly pleasant. It's more of a growth mindset, and it doesn't necessarily have to be P&L related on either side of this. You can have a fear-based trading day where you do fight with the market all day. Maybe you pay $200 in commissions because you messed around and maybe you did get it back to green, but that still was like a stressful day. Abundance trading doesn't necessarily have to be a green P&L, but more so like you were relaxed. You didn't over leverage. You traded your best setups that you could see. You got your best entries that you could find, and then you traded them to the best of your ability, that with the fills that you could get and the time that you had at your screen. And so that was a strong trading session because you approached it with peace and openness to receive what the market offered, recognizing that there should be a couple of good opportunities and you're going to do the best that you can to get your best entries and ride them to the promised land, right? And if you missed it, there will be more trades. The market really is abundant. There's different indices that we can trade. Maybe if there wasn't anything really good this morning, you protect your account and stop if you're not vibing well with what the opportunities are. And you see what's going on in power hour or just the next day even. So it's more of a like, I want to partner with the market and read the flow and the energy of what the opportunities are and get my best outcomes that I can in that moment. It also includes discipline after losses. So recognizing that I am going to take this trade. My risk is going to be $200 based on where I got in, how much size I have, what would it look like if the trade was proved wrong and this setup failed, then I would get out for a $200 loss. Meh, like if I lose $200, that trade didn't work out, I will wait and see what my next best trade is. So that is an abundance-based trading as well, recognizing that trading is a game of probabilities. And so you might not win them all, but to be focused on your plan and be disciplined, that is such a much better energy to live in and to feel like the market is delivering. It's high vibration. You have clarity and patience and confidence. So those are the two kind of options, I guess, like two extremes, two predominant energies that can transpire throughout a trading session. Now, I think maybe many of you have heard this. I certainly have loved this quote for a very long time, but whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. So that's from Henry Ford. We all know that name from US industry. But I love that phrase because if you really are determined to be a successful trader, then what does that look like? It means that you're just patient and you allow it to work over time and you let the lost days be lesson days. It really fits with everything that we're trying to do. So abundance versus scarcity. Let's drill into that just a little bit more, and then we'll turn to how we manage this. But scarcity says that this is the last opportunity. Like, I have to get in now, or who knows what's going to happen later. Like, I need this to work because XYZ. I need this money, which is like, needing money is a tricky place to be because then you latch onto the outcome before it's offered, and that will skew the way that you make your judgments. But rather, if we can kind of get into the abundance mindset, that's more like opportunities are always coming. The market is abundant. And so if this stop, is taken, it's all right because my leverage wasn't wild. And over time, I'm going to be a profitable trader. It just might not be this week. And so knowing that I'm either taking lessons or points, it's good. That's a good energy. And so if we can try to always shift and live in the latter, right? That will impact everything, our energy, our happiness, our balance, our ability to pivot and do other things and have joy in the afternoon in another activity versus just the cloud that can hang over you. And so it impacts more than just your trading. So let me see who is here. It's a smaller crew today because we did a time change, which is such a bummer. But, people will have to watch the replay on YouTube. But in the chat, you guys help me out because we're a small group. Who has ever jumped into a trade because you felt like you were missing out, even though your criteria was not fully met? Because I have. When you're like, yeah, right, Jaja? Well, yeah. You're like, it's probably going to work. Like, I really feel like this is going to happen. And I see this criteria, but maybe it's not everything. Yeah, me too, man. Well, yeah. So it's actually really quite easy to slip into making rash judgments because it needs to happen. Like, what if it's not going to get better? What if it doesn't get a better setup? What if I don't get a really good setup and this is as good as it's going to get? And so you jump, and those like maybe trades, as I refer to them as, those can add up fast and they can slice your account to bits, right? So let's do less of that. Let's try to get into a high performance vibe. So what does that look like? Let's get into some strategies for making sure our mindset is in the key place for optimal outcomes. Now, these are just some main points that I want to make that really are valuable to try and embrace, try to think about on your off time, because what we think about kind of reshapes the inner dialogue that we all have kind of running all the time in our minds. When you think about your trading day and later you're driving or what have you, you have thoughts. Your mind goes to places and relives certain events, especially trading, when you are really working at becoming a consistent trader. And so if we can start to get these approaches in our brain as a part of that conversation on the subconscious kind of back end of things, it will start to color how we approach everything in our trading day. So let me just run through them here. A growth mindset. So that one is every trade is a teacher. So loss is a data point. Mistake is curriculum. Like I wholeheartedly believe that the early years as trading are basically you're in college to become a trader. Like no other career gets to be a career without training, whether it's a formal university or if it's on the job training program. You have to be taught how to do something. And so for trading, it's a lot of self-driven education. But those first years, that's why the term market tuition exists, because when you lose in your first couple of years, you're paying the tuition to become a trader who loses less. And so that early, expense of losses is your market tuition. This period of time for traders is your curriculum. It's your program, like passing an eval and getting to the funded stage and receiving your first payout. Those are exams along the way that you are striving to get better and better at, to learn the material, to do better, and then you get the outcomes afterwards. But it doesn't come when you haven't been taught or taken the lessons. So recognizing that is a growth period that is required for careers. This is not different than that. And so you're always, everything you're doing on the charts, off the charts, when you study, videos you watch, they're helping you become a better trader. Abundance is a different kind of view on just kind of life. And when we think about trading, it's the market. The market has endless opportunity. That's why a big reason why on the charts we will talk about what NQ is doing, ES, the Dow, gold, silver, oil, because sometimes if one market isn't moving well, something else is giving a great opportunity that fits within your system. And so, or if your main instrument is NQ and you don't like the morning setup, maybe you go for an extra long walk with your dog and you come back half an hour later and you see if it has produced something that is more in sync with your setup and that you like better as a setup. But seeing it as there is opportunity everywhere. If I need to look at a different indice or I need to give it a little bit of time for it to fully set up, there's going to be some good trade opportunities. If I'm just patient and open to receive them, the next clean setup will present itself. That's what the world of trading is. There's so much opportunity to make money for those that are patient and wait to see their best setups, and then they shoot their shots at the ideal opportunity. That kind of view of the day creates less rushing. In the morning when the market starts printing, it's so easy to kind of try and catch the first and every trade. But if we can say, I really am thinking this could happen, this could set up, I want to wait and get this ideal opportunity, that is going to put you in such a better headspace for capitalizing on it most ideally. Now, consistency, oh my goodness, that is a part of how we want to approach our life in general, right? Like that creates the most stable relationships and job outcomes. If you're always kind of on time and you strive to maintain the same leverage size until you're ready to do a jump based on different factors in your strategy. But the results will come from a repeatable process that you trust. So this is like you create a trading playbook and you have strategies that you look for. And when you see that, you enter based on this candle closure when I have these confirmations and then I manage it that way. When you have studied and back tested and proven your system, being consistent with that generally has more consistent results than kind of jumping all over the place and having double leverage on a whim versus based on strategy and opportunity and account size growth. And so not trying for those hero trades because, okay, I don't know if RQ is here. He's not here right now. But full porting and winning is pretty fun. It's like pretty fun. I'm not going to lie. I'm a trader. I've done it. I've had a good time. I've also full ported and lost and blew all kind of accounts. And that was less fun. I enjoyed it less. And so for me, I don't get consistent outcomes when I do those big full on trades. That has not led to my most consistent payout period of my trading career. And so I have decided to do less of that. I know, but RQ would add something to say about the full port plan. You know what I'm saying? But if you show up the same way every day and you are patient and you want to trade with your best opportunities, I'm telling you guys, that consistency has more consistency in your P&L outcome. And if you know what I mean, you know what I mean. Because I certainly have done both sides of that, and the inconsistent real aggressive at times does not end up getting me paid. Now, adaptability is something that I'm going to get way deeper into next week, because adaptability and flexibility is an important concept in trading, because being married to a trade is not it. The markets evolve and shift and conditions shift. Like, remember 2 months ago when we had no idea how deep this was going to go because levels kept breaking and we were falling and there was speculation on how low the market was going to go. And then all of a sudden it bottomed. And I'm not going to lie, Matt called it in real time the day that it bottomed, but the shorts stopped working and the bulls started working, and not everyone caught that. And there was a lot of opportunity to continue to short at every single resistance on the march up. And that would be a struggle for accounts if that was the situation. And so adaptability and flexibility is a really powerful approach to life and to your trading system, because you want to stay current and not really hooked up on what you think the market should do because of this. And then you discount current, more relevant information that could be printing right in front of you because you're kind of hooked up on this other thing that was true, but maybe isn't true anymore. It was a struggle. I struggle. You guys know I really like those short trades that I enjoyed today, but I lost a handful of them, not going to lie. More than that, I'm sure, in the last 6 weeks. So this is really important for traders as a part of like I'm biased on this because of activity, if it's within your system, but also saying, but if I'm wrong, I need to make sure I'm paying attention to my 50-minute chart and the larger time frames, and I need to make sure I'm honoring my stop. That is the healthier approach to trading, and it will help you stay more calm and present and take less outsized hits. Now, what about resilience? Because let's be real, drawdowns are part of the game. Like that, not every trade hits. It just doesn't, and sometimes it can like build up on you. So for me, I have had periods of drawdown, and they have been impacted by multiple things: market condition shift, personal factors that just made me less able to focus. Um, all kinds of things can kind of help contribute to a drawdown. And sometimes you're just not hitting the trades, and your mental game can struggle a little bit. But the ability to lean back into abundance and growth mindset, even while you're red, is a superpower that long-term traders have embraced, because not even big money managers win all the time, but they have to be able to take a big loss, sometimes millions, if you are a market maker, and then, come back the next day and try to kill it, try to start making it back, but making sure that you're focused and only trading your strategy and your best setups. That sort of resilience is required to have the long-term outcomes as a trader, because basically you have to recognize that you're not perfect and you're not a hero, and you cannot be some savant that wins everything all the time. That's not reasonable. And so by saying a loss is a loss, a drawdown is a drawdown, I am not going to be stubborn about fighting against it. Instead, I'm just going to try to bring my nervous system down and come at the market level and see what the opportunities could present in front of me. And that will pull you out of that way faster than coming at a drawdown with aggression. And so that is like the resilience approach to trading, which has to be a factor, because drawdowns are a factor. And then, you guys, I have to put a nod in here to humility, because we are not always right, but Miss Market is right. She does what she does, and she doesn't ask permission, and she's not going to say she's sorry when we're stopped out. So we have to recognize that we are the dance partner, not the leader of the dance. And so we have to be able to take our cues and take our hits and wait for opportunities and stay aligned with what is happening right in front of us, instead of what we really think needs to happen to give us the best outcomes, So those are really, really the place that I want us to focus on. But what if you're not there? Like, what if you're in a drawdown right now? What if you you're still dancing in between kind of the drawdown period and the abundance period, and you slide? Because I know that if I have more than one red day in a row, I feel some kind of way, and I have to purposefully work to not live in that some kind of way where I'm irritated, I'm frustrated, and I want to be green. And if I'm not green, I want to be green. You know what I'm saying? Like, I am a trading coach here because I'm a trader first. And that is what led me to everything that I do in the psychology world, and all of the things that I say on whatever platform I might find myself on. It's because I have lived this slide exactly in front of us. Fear-based trading sucks, and it is expensive. It costs accounts and money. And when you're in a low vibration emotional state, that leads to aggression and frustration. Yeah, Jaja gets it too. Your prefrontal cortex, you guys know, that's the rational decision-making brain. That's the focus. That's the intention. You're open to all of the information, and you are not anxious, nervous, kind of dancing in your seat. But the amygdala is the emotional-based part of our brain that overrides it. When there is fear or concern or worry or anxiety, the amygdala takes the power essentially from your brain. Your brain only has a certain amount of ability to focus somewhere on some task, on some important issue right in front of you right now. And if it's emotions, fear, worry, really not sure what to do about this drawdown, trying to save your account, getting irritated, somebody is also drawing your attention, you don't have the bandwidth to also be focused, calm, and patient. So when you get hijacked in that situation, this spiral image on the screen is what happens. Like, the losses lead to impulsivity, which means you jump in, which means you change your leverage size, which means you get even more aggressive, and maybe you flip teams, or maybe you flip to another instrument while you leave this trade to live or die over here. You start entering on another instrument on another screen. Like, you guys maybe know what I mean. And so that's not really, there is a neuroscience behind the way that our brains can switch on us. And so you can't execute your edge with that focus and tension of that prefrontal cortex in charge when your amygdala has shoved it out the window and is running your mouth, because that situation is just where bad things happen. Your hormones are all out of whack, adrenaline and cortisol are running the show, and your logic is not available. This is how we want to try and figure out to give ourselves the best setup to approach your day to stop this slide, because this slide is real. We kind of talk about this subject in different ways in different psychology labs. For those of you that hang out with me every Tuesday, which I am so grateful for, and you always should do. But I'm going to keep kind of looping it into whatever conversation we're at, because it's a big part of the experience of trading. Ed Sakota, so he had this quote down here: win or lose, everybody gets what they want out of the market. Some people seem to like to lose, so they win by losing money. Now, the reason why I picked this quote is because this is kind of the heart of what I'm saying today. Of if you are stuck in a low vibration where this like aggressive negative feeling is where you're in this cycle, and then it breeds the next phase of this cycle and you can't pull out of it, that the losses will just keep coming. Like, that is why getting stuck in the negative waves in a low vibration mode is so dangerous, because it snowballs so easily and it's hard to get out of it. And it could be, and no one says you want to lose, right? That's, maybe you would say that sounds stupid. But if you kind of back off and come at it with like, what does that mean even? It could mean that you're like, you have lost and you're frustrated with it and you don't want to lose, but like you keep making the choices. And so you won't take that annoying advice that Coach Becky said about going for the damn walk with your dog and getting off your screen for half an hour. And so instead you want to keep pushing it. Well, probably another loss will come if that is still the aggression that you're coming in your charts with. So that's kind of the point of the heart of how I read that quote from Ed Sakota, is that when you are making the choices that logically we know lead to a certain place, there is a personal control issue with that sort of situation. And so that often leads to the results that leads to. Okay, so we know what that is, right? We know what that sucky experience is like as traders. How do we not do that? Because that's definitely the goal of, we want to direct our mind to get in that high vibe state intentionally. High vibe state, I don't know who all is in the room and all your backstory with psychology, but I absolutely think that energy and vibration is a part that underpins all of humanity. Now, you can have a very strong, logical, technical approach to trading, and I highly recommend that. But to say that there isn't an emotional underlying element to who you are when you're at your charts, I would say that also needs to be factored in. So you don't necessarily have to feel good and super positive and like sunshine and rainbows, and you just had like the most perfect breakfast ever and then 8 hours of sleep that night. Nothing has to be perfect, because that's not realistic. We're humans and life is very real. But what I would advocate for is us putting energy to engineering our mental state before we place a trade, and then doing little things throughout the day to stay in that right energy, that right place, that right approach to everything. So here is just some techniques. I'm just going to talk about some different things, and maybe you think about which ones kind of fit with you or your life or things you do well. And so those you can kind of check off your list, and things that maybe you could try to do a little bit better with, because we're real, like we're humans. Nobody is perfect. So let's go run through this list here and see if there are any gems that jump out at us. So a pre-session ritual. I don't know who does this. I don't always do this, because sometimes I come in a little bit like Russian. Let me say in my house, we're coming in hot. Let's just get it done. Let's go. That sometimes is my morning, because I am a West Coaster. Like, the market opens at 6:30. If I snoozed at all, then I do less of this. But if I do it, I feel so much better. So it even can be 5 minutes or 3 minutes or 10 minutes, depending on where you're at and how this calms you. But if you can just try to have some moments where you're not looking at a screen, but you do some deep breath work and you close your eyes and you visualize a positive, successful day or a peaceful moment or just calm and quiet. Instead, if that's not your jam, you could journal your intentions for who you are and how you want to show up to your day. Some people like to review their rules. And so I have a 3-page document that is my ideal setups, what I look for, what I like to see, what makes me want to get in a trade. And if I get in that trade, how I like to manage it. At least once a week, I try to read that in the morning just to keep my mind focused on my trade plan, because it can blur when the candles start printing. If you have any extra noise in your house, you can start to forget a little bit, like there's so much coming at you in a training session that it's easy to sometimes not remember everything that you're trying to remember. So reminding yourself of your rules and your strategy before market opens can be super grounding of like, I am a day trader and this is what I like to see. This is how I like to approach it. Gosh, I hope I can get the opportunity today. If I get it, it looks like line items 8 through 12 on page 2. Maybe this will happen. Yeah, stimulus overload. Exactly, Jaja. So when that starts to happen, anything you can do or do ahead of the trading session to get yourself grounded and ready to do what you know how to do will keep you steady longer. Basically, it's just setting you up for the best success. You're going into a road trip, your gas tank is full, you use the bathroom, your snacks and water is all set out, like you're going to do great. If you all of a sudden decide on a whim, you're going to drive to Florida and you get in the car, like, you know, set yourself up for success for your trading day as well. Okay. How about state check-in in the morning too? This is something that a mentor told me about a couple years ago, and I have done intermittently over time. And it is kind of a good reminder of where I am at. And that is just waking up and rating your mental state before each session. So if you are below a 6, potentially maybe that's not your day to trade. Now, this has multiple things that could be involved in this. But if you slept terribly, or heaven forbid, you got in a big old fight with your spouse or a child or something, and you're like really frustrated still and not over it and reliving the argument and planning what you're going to do, like maybe that's not your ideal mental setup to put some leverage on. And so that could be a way to be like, I kind of feel like I'm not at all focused and I'm just at my chart because I can't sleep because I'm frustrated. Recognizing that your mental state is not really head in the game type of energy, and that this, if trading is your business and you want to basically cut a deal with you on your business, you want to make sure you're at your ideal conditions to make the best choices for your capital. And so rating your mental state before you get involved in a trade is super powerful. So that situation, you could recognize that your emotional capital is just not on point. And so that is a situation where you want to maybe not put real capital on the line. So maybe try it, like see what you can do. I mean, this is super fast of just rating yourself in the morning. For me, I am still a nurse and I take on-call shifts at night sometimes in the recovery room. I will be on call if there's emergency surgery comes in. I need to go in and recover them. If I get called in on a night before it's a trading morning on a weeknight, then my accountability partner knows that I just don't trade that day. If I have to be at the hospital at 2 a.m., I can't focus for a 6 a.m. trading morning. So I will just not open my charts. Like I will recognize that alone, that massive cut to my sleep and routine has wiped out my emotional mental stability to make really strong, logical, sound, grounded choices. And so for me, that is a fail on this mental state check-in in the morning. So anchor phrases is something that I really love. They are basically, let me pull mine up actually on my chart right now. They are mantras such as how you want to be and how you want to show up as a trader. And so they can be brief, they can be more specific, whatever works for you. But I only trade my A setups. I am patient. There's always another trade. Hold it up so you can see it on YouTube who's watching the picture. But your identity emerges out of your habits. Every action is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. Now, that is a James Clear quote from Atomic Habits, but I love it. I love it more than like a lot of things because it's so true. And that is who I want to be. Like, I do believe that who I am, how I show up, how I behave, how I treat people, how I treat my capital when I'm trading, those choices that I make are creating me. Those are my identity. That is who I am in life. So I want to make the choices in the moment that are who I choose to be. Like if I say something unkind, if I make a poor choice, if I go full port, like that is a little bit of a habit that is who I am. But if I choose to be consistent and always kind of respectful and patient, that also is shaping who I am. And so anchor phrases, whatever speaks to you, that one really speaks to me. I feel like they can really kind of remind you who you want to be. And if that is in the forefront of your mind, it will color what you do. If you let it be powerful enough to be like, I am a person who doesn't do that. The more you say that to yourself in the morning and the more you have days stacked that have that happen in your life, the more it will settle in, and that will actually be who you are. And so I love anchor phrases. And I think that that's something that we could all maybe just have a little tiny note on your thing and try it and try to remember them and say them a couple times a day and see if they'll seep into your subconscious. Now use your anchor phrase, you guys, during your mid-session, like pause, because after any loss or an emotional spike or even a win, I do think it's important to just like take a moment. That can look different for everyone. I do like the walk a dog analogy because it makes you like stand up from your screen, stop staring at every candle, move your body for a second, engage with another life form, such as the dog, whatever it is though, maybe make a quick phone call, maybe get a new fresh cup of coffee or whatever. That just like breath will allow your nervous system to wind down just a little bit so you can come back to a more neutral state, because there might be more opportunities. Maybe you're not done trading for the day, or maybe you need to pivot and do some other body of work. Being able to pull yourself down and settle down that amygdala will allow your brain to spread that bandwidth back to your prefrontal cortex so that you can make your smartest choices for your outcomes. And so having that break of any variety, a minute and a half, a 15-minute walk, whatever, that reset is so valuable. I'm telling you guys, that's why I try to, my schedule is getting a little bit wilder these days, but I try to get a workout session in mid to late morning, because my morning training session is done during school. My kids are at school. And so for me, I can just get out of my chart trance. I can get take care of my body and my physical health. And then I can, stream with you guys at Power Hour and sometimes see another great opportunity or do another piece of work. For me, that is like, I feel so much better in the evening when I fit that in. And so something like that, once you start putting little things like that in your day, you will notice that you'll have more stamina because you have been able to come down and you're not living in a high stress, high emotional, heightened state for extended period of time, which is taxing on your body and your mind. Mark Douglas, we all know him, famous author in the trading space. He said, in trading, it's not what you know, it's how you respond to what you know. And so that is how we want to always try to be calm and patient and approach the markets with who we want to be, right? How we want to execute, what our trading system is and what that would look like and how we choose to manage that. Okay, so I don't know if you guys believe this or not, but think about this. Like, do you think that who you are off the charts, how big of a factor do you think that has in who you are on the charts? Ooh, I need to read your question, Gil. During the prop trader thing on the weekend, a top-notch lady talked about journaling. She mentioned to write everything down as happening. It registers your mind more than just thinking about it. She also said it does not go over her journaling all the time, but just writing down mistakes. Yeah. Okay. So there was a couple boss women in that event. I caught part of that. I know Linda Rashke was there and Miriam, I don't know her other name. Miriam was there. I don't know which woman it was, but I also agree that just writing it down gets it out of your head and onto paper, and you can kind of dump it. It kind of dumps the charge basically of the emotional weight that it would carry. It basically unloads it, unleashes it, gets it. So you don't have to keep thinking about it in your subconscious and your banter while you're driving or whatever. It basically just releases it out of you, and then makes the lesson stronger because you're writing it down. So you're acknowledging it in your mind and on paper. And then you can think about it when you're writing it down. You could say, this might've been a factor, blah, blah, blah. You can make yourself consider the options of more things within the lesson that you could learn by taking the time to write it down and whatever that brings out of you. So that is absolutely a strength there. I love that you heard that. If you degen, probably degen your evals too. Yeah, I mean, being a degen trader is costly. So I think degen trading can be fun, but if you want the steady P&L, it's a little bit more ideal to get it out of your system wherever you're at in trading, ideally with less expensive accounts, and then try to find a system that can be more consistent. Thank you guys for chatting and having some comments over there. Gail, that is a great point that you pulled from that trading weekend. Was that the one on Saturday that was on YouTube, live on YouTube all day on Saturday? I can't remember the name of it. Trade something. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it was good. I was in part of that too. So I want to talk about this for a minute about who we are off the charts, because I think that almost no one talks about this. I think that I can't even think of someone that is not me that has talked about this in the trading education scene. But that's why I want to. That is a big portion, a percentage of this conversation today, because I actually think it's really valuable. Because the state that you carry into your trading day starts long before you open a chart. Now, I think that having ourselves as the most stable place that we can be is so powerful for who we are as traders, because you're able to harness your logical focus part of your brain when you're not carrying over stress. Now, we're humans, right? Probably you have someone in your life, maybe everything is not always perfect. I don't think anyone has a perfect air quotes life, because what the heck does that even mean? And human relationships are complicated. And so it's so easy to have all kinds of experiences. And trading, especially if you are not a consistently profitable, 10 years deep trader who has income every week from trading, if you are still perhaps paying reset fees and not quite consistent with payouts, then financially trading is a stressor at times. And so money is a massive stressor for humans, right? Because we have bills, there are things that you have to pay. That adds weight to trading. It adds like your experience to trading in a different way. So knowing that there's these extra stressors in life, like what can we control to give us the most calm state to operate from? Now, sleep, nutrition, and movement, those are physical things that our body needs to feel optimal. Physical regulation directly governs emotional regulation. A depleted body is a depleted brain. Like, it's so much harder to execute effectively when you are sleep deprived, or when you haven't eaten and it's later in the day. Like hypoglycemia, I'm telling you right now, as a nurse, when your blood sugar is too low, your brain does not function. You can't even get your words out. You'll start to slur and you'll be ridiculous and your emotions will be outsized. Everyone's been hangry, right? Hanger is not a great strategy for trading. And same thing with hydration to a lesser movement. And, sedentary lifestyle also can make you just feel slower. Everything can kind of slow down. You can be less optimal on the charts. So if we can best now, again, no one's perfect, right? I tend to, especially this phase of my life, I'm working till 11 at night and I'm up at 5:30 in the morning. And if I don't dip straight to sleep at 11, then it's, midnight. I operate on less sleep, not uncommonly, but I have to try to do my best. Like, I know that I am my most focused when these things are as good as I can be. Now, I am 1,000,000% not perfect with sleep, nutrition, and movement, but I do try to do my best, which looks like, 70% some days, depending on which metric at which time. That's better than 50. You know what I'm saying? So just try to put some awareness on these things, that if you want to be a trader, and really lock into your best outcomes, having these things as stable as possible will make your brain more effective neuroscientifically. I actually just spoke with a performance psychologist from Ireland the other day, and she was like, when she does performance coaching with anyone in sports or business or traders that she works with, she makes them track sleep for her entire session with them. Like, this is a multiple $1,000 course that she offers specifically to high performers. And they have to track their sleep in order to be in her program, because it is a factor. And she wants them to be aware of the days when they're coming in after 4 hours of sleep. And that's a problem, to put awareness on that. Anyway, that's what I'm saying about that. But then also, like, the human part of this, where relationships and stress. So unresolved conflict or financial stress or anxiety off the screen, that will show up in impulsive trades, oversizing, poor risk decisions. Again, guilty. That's how this lab came to be, is that I am human and my life is full and beautiful and insane sometimes. And so sometimes that will look like an emotional carryover into something that I'm worried about, whether it's someone that I love or they're sick or something that's going on. And I'm thinking about them and I'm wondering if the phone's going to ring and if it's going to be whoever and what I need to intervene with it. And so having my mind on that more often will, again, take the bandwidth away from focusing on my charts, on my system, on making sure I'm going top down on my analysis and I'm trading with the trend and I'm managing my risk. And if I am scalping, to recognize what I'm in and how I'm in and what size it should be, etc. So just bear in mind, again, like this is the thing too for me. Like if I know I got called to the hospital and I got 3 hours of sleep, not a great condition, and I don't think I will open my trading charts that day. Same thing if something is going on with someone really important to me and I am highly distracted or concerned or worried or irritated, whatever it is with that person. Also, maybe just a day to do extra exercise and less trading because I probably will revenge trade, impulsively trade, get pissed off, double size up because I want to feel like something in my life is good and stable and happy. And so it's going to be a fat P&L, right? Well, that doesn't always work. And so the risk is higher than the chance of reward in that situation to feel better by a good trade. And it's not as consistent to getting you those good outcomes. And so I would caution you against looking for those good feels against the stressful backdrop on the charts. And then this last one is kind of brings a lot of what we're talking about today together, is that's the mindset as a lifestyle. And so that is what that is what I always, every single day I work on this because it's a constant work in progress. And I don't think anyone would ever fully arrive at this because again, the human element. But if we can always try to see the growth opportunities in every loss, in every opportunity, in every session, the abundance of the market. And when we look back at the end of the day, whether it was a win or a losing day, recognizing the beautiful opportunities that set up that day. And if you capitalize on them or you didn't, how best could we maybe capitalize on them the next time they presented? What time did that best opportunity show up? And what did it look like? And how could you have gotten in? Aren't you? You're late. Welcome. We're doing the labs at 2 p.m. you guys. So I'm breaking the ice this week with changing it all up. So stragglers in, welcome. I'm really glad that you are here now. I put it out this morning in the chat, but neither here nor there. There is a recording. We are live on YouTube and on Discord, and we're talking to, I know, you're gonna have to start. You're gonna need some remediation. But I want you guys to really think about trying to shift your mind to always just being in that place where it's going to be great. And whatever happened in this day is a part of my journey to my most successful life. And it doesn't have to be right now. And it can take time. And that can still be a part of the process. Like if you think about building your house or, doing any massive thing, going for a master's degree or a PhD in something, that takes so much work and effort and energy and small projects within it. And sometimes they're frustrating. Sometimes there are days where you can't get the information you need, or you build something and then the pipes all burst and it floods the kitchen that you're halfway through remodeling. Those setbacks are unpleasant. But if you can keep eye on the prize, like what is this house going to look like when you're done building it? And this flood that you're experiencing this week, that sucks. Okay, Jana, there we go. We hit home with that one. It's like a giant bummer that you had this kitchen half installed and it flooded everything. And now you have to rip the wall out and redo the piping and you're set back a month or two or multiple thousands of dollars. Just freaking do it. You know what I mean? Like, what's the next step? Who's the right plumber? What do I need to dry out? Do I have the fans for this situation? And then still remembering that this is a moment that I enjoy less, but this house is going to be sick when it is done and the process is still underway. That is what trading is too. And so knowing that maybe this day, this week is not profitable, but dang, look at the lessons you took and think about how the conversations you had with your team and your mentors and how you looked at it differently and what your journal revealed and how you can tweak your system. That is a successful week as a trader. And so trying to shift our mind, which is not as easy as it is, because that rat race of negativity is there, especially in the heat of the moment when your kitchen is flooded and you're in water and all your food is wrecked and you're starving anyway. Rough moment, but big picture, right? So anchor into that resilience and abundance and long-term goals. And if you can choose to constantly shift your mind slowly, steadily into that approach, then you will do it faster each time. This is something that I had to learn because I come from a family of warriors. I'm a little bit more negative, kind of some, will lean into the news, which is probably why I lean away from the news now in my life. Matt often, and you guys in the chat will tell me things that I'm like, oh, I hadn't heard that. It's because I was raised in a newsy family who were raised in hangs on the headlines that are fear mongering. And I, as an adult, don't enjoy that. I didn't like that vibe. I could feel the carryover as a child, that it was like always stress. Like, what is the worst thing? Like, there was a shooting in Portland that, like, I'm not involved in the gang scene in Portland. Like, what the heck do I need to be involved in this in my head as a, 12-year-old child or whatever? So for me, I like to tune out the negative noise and instead be like, what can I control in front of me, and what am I building for my personal life? And so that has been something that I've had to shift to, of less worry, more what can I control? What's in front of me? What are the opportunities that will help me grow and build, and what is available to me that helps me feel good and excited and momentum and makes me stronger for the future. And so having that turn from, a worrier in worst case and trying to fix everything instead of like taking lessons and just showing up the best at the next opportunity takes time. So the more you can capture your thoughts, and if they are a stressful, worried thought, try and pivot them is in the real time of like, well, I guess it was a lesson day. The lesson is XYZ. I'm going to call Waji on my drive home, and I'm going to just dump out this lesson that I just experienced. And then I'm going to go, grill burgers in the backyard. And that switch for me slides me out of the negative waves and into the like, gosh, what toppings do we need for the burgers? Well, welcome, May, for coming over here. Both will work. Thanks for being here, everyone. I know our timing was off and we're getting some people coming in towards the end. We did start at 2 p.m. today, Eastern, which will be the new vibe, but we'll just keep updating you guys and reminding you of the shifts we're doing here at BluSky to have a really robust streaming schedule for you. Okay, so this is the main concern here, is that low vibration states off screen, which are stress, fear, anxiety, scarcity concerns, carry a high probability of crossing directly into your trading behavior. So that's not theoretical. It's consistent and measurable. But like, there is proof in multiple scientific studies, you guys, that when you are frustrated about one thing and you're irritated and you lose sleep over it and you try to do this other thing really well, but then that goes poorly, and then you try and fix that thing with aggression, then the second fix doesn't work either. That happens. And if you can instead say, I don't have enough sleep and I'm frustrated about this and my P&L is not moving as fast, but you just take that day to catch up on your rest and do something else and go to bed early that night, the next day could be a sick trading day, you guys. So think about that. If you don't trade when you're sleep deprived and irritated, instead you take that day off and you manage a couple other things that don't require as much brain power, and you go to bed early that night and catch up, the next day could be 3x your normal win because you were on freaking point and you made healthy choices for yourself that day. Yeah, what? May knows what's up. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you guys manage your off-screen hygiene, it really is powerful for having a really strong approach to your trading session. So what does a full circle trader look like? This is who I want us all to be. This is who I want to be. And so I want that for all of us, because I'm 5 years deep in trading, a little more, and I know who I am when I'm on point, and I want that girl all the time. I don't want like sleep deprived, frustrated Becky with extra noise and a child on my lap messing with my stuff. I want to be that holistic, abundant growth mindset, resilient person. So I want to manage my life state, which is the good sleep, the good rest, eating something, fueling your body before you get hangry, and not trading when you're in potentially a fight with a loved one or someone is really sick and you're worried about that. Manage your life state and trade when you are at least a 6 out of 10 or higher in terms of stability on the back end. And then have some sort of a pre-session grounding so you can have your nervous system kind of back to neutral to the best of your ability, whether that is a quick journaling session or visualization session or just reviewing your technical plan is incredibly grounding and not any kind of fluffy business, but it's just focusing on your technicals and exactly what you want to show up as. It's not an ICD joke, but I probably should have played that up actually, Jaja. That's a good point. And then during your trading day, what can you do to manage and keep yourself as calm again? And so they play into each other and they can strengthen each other, or they can snowball the other one, right? They can topple like dominoes. So you want to commit to a consistent sleep schedule. I know it's not always our jam, but then before a high volatility sessions, oh my gosh, it's 2 minutes. Address your stressors off screen proactively instead of carrying them over. Build that lifestyle that supports a calm, confident nervous system. Do journal, just like they had that excellent comment earlier from Gil, right? Yeah, about the superpower of journaling, and that I absolutely agree. And so journal it and dump out your stressors into your journal and come at your trading with the most focused approach with the lessons in mind. And then you guys, BluSky, surround yourself with a community that reinforces your mindset. Now that is us. Um, we are that community. We are stronger together. We are supportive and kind and helpful and talk out strategy and approaches and trade opportunities. And having people around you that are the best support for that positive growth mindset, abundance, not over leveraging energy will help you stay where you need to stay versus being on, as Mike talks about in the morning, the idiots on Twitter, trying to chase a bot channel or whatever where they're just pushing you to have reset fees. That's not what you want to do, right? So the most important investment you can make is in yourself. That's a Warren Buffett quote for a reason that I wanted to say, of like, really just lean into being your best self, and it crosses over. Like, it really does cross over into your trading and your outcomes and the way that you approach your trading, everything. All right. So we are nearly out of time, and I just have a tiny bit left, basically bringing it all together. And that is your daily state check-in. So rate yourself in the morning and make sure you're the best self. Matt, yeah, there it is. And then having something pre-market to really make sure that you are focused on what you have going on with your journaling and focusing on your rules and who you want to be as a trader. Reset throughout the day if you need to. Off-screen hygiene. So that is kind of where I want to put my main energy at the end here, is like, the whole reason that I picked this conversation for the psychology lab today, you guys, is because who you are in your mind, in your subconscious, in your worries, in your attitude is a massive factor to your trading outcomes. Like, come at me if you think I'm wrong. I'm just saying I'm not wrong, because when you have carryover where you're aggressive or frustrated or sleep deprived, you don't execute as well. There's neuroscience behind it. It's out there. But basically, just if we can constantly try to set ourselves up for success in the mental game, it changes your outcomes. And so try to get that good sleep, let go of stressors, or don't trade when the stressors are too heavy, and then focus on who you are, on your mantras, on showing up with the habits that you intend to be. And slowly over time, that identity that you prioritize in those little thought captures and shifts in your mind become your life. That creates the trader that you are, that brings the profits that that trader earns by having a consistent, calm, rational approach to trading. And so it's not at all trying to be perfect, but it's just shifting to those positive mindsets that we all kind of know. Like, when you guys know what I mean? When you know that you are calm and centered and on point and respecting your system, like, the outcomes present that support that. And so that is what I want for all of us. They will compound. These compound over time, and you will be unshakable. All right. The last quote of the day: the desire to perform all the time is usually the barrier to performing all the time. So take it easy, let the results set up, wait for your best opportunities, and then build your system over time, not in a single session. All right, guys, this is our approach to the rest of the week. Trade with clarity, live with intention, stay in your process, clean, clear, healthy, happy. That's what I want for all.